Hey there, it's Ashley here from the Unplanned Mom School. Hey, we get this question. This is the most asked question that we receive, which is, how am I going to tell people that I'm pregnant? And I can totally relate because when I was 21 and I unexpectedly became pregnant after a night of drinking, hanging out with an ex boyfriend, making decisions that I would not have otherwise made, was just definitely a surprise to myself. And then also was a shock to my family. So, I am here to just kind of walk through a little bit about walk through the process and how we teach people in the Unplanned Mom School when they're going to be telling people that they are pregnant. So, really, first off the bat, this is probably the absolute hardest thing to do. But what I encourage everybody to do is to just try to sit with it. And if you have to get it off your chest, you need to really think and be strategic about who that first person is that you're going to tell. Maybe it is your partner, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's somebody from church. Maybe it's, somebody that you kind of know, periodically throughout your life that you know is going to be supportive of you and just listen and let you, kind of just be that sounding board to give you some guidance. But really the big thing to remember is before you get to that place, you have to wrap your own brain around it. And I know it's so hard. I was in complete shock. I mean, I went to the grocery store, bought my pregnancy test, and let me kind of backtrack because like I said, it was a one time thing over Christmas break, and I had gone back to school. I was interested in somebody else. I knew that I did not want to see this person anymore, but we did, and my boobs were getting bigger, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool, like, I mean, they were just fuller, and I felt pretty good and confident, and I was not tracking my periods. But I just was kind of ignorant to the whole idea. And what happened to me is the father happened to call me and say, "Hey, I had a dream that you were pregnant." And it totally freaked me out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, no." And then anyways, we hang up the phone. First thing I do is I rush to the grocery store. So I'm 21, I'm a junior in college, afraid. I'm like mortified. I don't want anybody to see. I don't want anybody to know. I walk through, I buy the test, and it really was like a scene out of a movie. I'm walking through the store. I see a group of, girls that I knew kind of as an acquaintance from different, frat parties and going out. And they see me holding this test, and I'm like, "Oh, it's not for me. It's for somebody else." Because I didn't know, and I did not want to. I wasn't going to divulge any information for myself. So I go, I check out. The woman that's checking me out is like super excited, like, "Oh, congrats to you." I'm like, this isn't for me. I was just thinking, "Oh my gosh, this cannot be for me. I cannot be pregnant." I didn't want to be pregnant. I was super, super scared and not wanting, obviously, to be pregnant as a junior in college, 21 years old, finally kind of feeling like I've got my whole life ahead of me. I was the first person in college, in my family to go to college. And I didn't want this dream to die because I was facing an unplanned pregnancy. So I go back to my apartment. I sit in the bathroom. I pee on the stick. I'm sitting there and I'm praying and I'm just thinking, God, please do not let me be pregnant. I don't even remember exactly all of the thoughts. It really was just a blur. And you're sitting there. I remember sitting there and waiting for the test results. And lo and behold, it was positive. It was there was a deep, probably my intuition knew that I was pregnant, but my goodness, I did not want to accept it. And the first thing that I felt was just utter fear, embarrassment, confusion. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. So I called my best friend. I told one of my roommates. She couldn't believe it, but I call my best friend. She starts crying on the phone. She's about 2 hours away from me. She drove down to pick me up so that she could take me to my parents' house. I mean, for me, luckily I knew I wanted to talk to my parents. I wanted to share this with them. And so I came home. Prior to that, I called my mom and I'm crying and just said, I need to come home. So she wouldn't tell her what was happening over the phone. And she was really worried. She thought something really bad had happened to me, like maybe I had been raped or something. She was begging me to tell her what was going on. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't tell her over the phone. So I got home and told my mother, of course, told my sister, and my sister came over and was over early the next day because I got back to their house pretty late at night. And the one person I was really fearing the most was to tell my dad. And I couldn't even tell my dad. So my dad, yells upstairs. My sister and I are upstairs and says, "What's going on?" And I looked at her and she said it for me. She said, "Ashley's pregnant." And yeah. So for him and my dad and the family I was raised, he just yelled back upstairs, "You will not have an abortion," and slammed the door and went back out to work. So um, that is my story. And I share that because I've met with so many different women. And as I said, the number one question that we get and that we see in surveys is that women just don't know how to tell people. And your story is going to be unique to you. Your feelings are going to be unique to you. Your situation is unique to you. But the one thing I remind each of our students is that they know deep down inside that this this is happening. And I think coming to that realization that we're going to accept it and that your life doesn't have to stop. You can still have your big dreams. You can still pursue your heart's desire and live the absolute best life that you want to have and that God has intended for you. God, he's not dismissing you because you're facing this unplanned pregnancy. And for me, it was really kind of a doorway to open up the possibilities and, being faithful. Granted, I had many, many hardships. Um, and I kind of dive in. We'll talk about all of these things at another time, but I did have to rely on government assistance, and I was on temporary things and needed help at that time in my life. But at the same time, I knew it was temporary, and I knew things would get better. And the whole mission behind, if you haven't really read or know much yet about the Unplanned Mom School, is, I was pregnant, so I was in college. I'm a couple hours away. I was at a state school in Missouri. And while I was there, I had so many women tell me that they couldn't believe that I was pregnant and confided in me that they had had an abortion and regretted it and just thought I was so courageous to still continue to finish school and live my life and walk freely with my pregnant, with my bump and around campus. Um, so that stuck with me, and I just it now it's my passion to help women that are in the exact same spot as me. So no matter where you fall on the spectrum of where your relationship is with your partner, you are uniquely you and you are changed and you are carrying a life that, if you decide to keep the baby or if you give the baby up for adoption, you are giving this child the opportunity to live and just live a awesome life. So fast forward kind of right now to where I'm at. My daughter is 15 years old now. And as I said, all throughout my career, I kind of, at the early stages, I worried and wondered what would employers think. But I thankfully was surrounded through every job that I had with people that always put family first. So, in the Unplanned Mom School, we kind of work through that, figure out where your financial situation is right now, and then again, looking ahead at your big picture, long term goals. It's really the focus for you and what's going to be best for you, and then also kind of just knowing that you're going to be weaving and working in motherhood in one shape, way, form, or another, and it does work out beautifully, and it works out way, way better than we ever could have imagined. And so, to kind of really sum all of this up, just take it all in when you find out that you're pregnant. If you're super scared and overwhelmed, it's okay if you cannot tell anybody. Just give yourself some grace, give yourself a day or two. Journal. I cannot tell you enough how important it is to just journal and put your thoughts out there. Either it's physically writing them down on a book, or I've done a mixture of both. And when I've got a lot of really heavy things on my heart and my mind, I type. So if you are quick on the computer and you enjoy typing, type it out. Use your notes section in your phone. If you're, out bopping around, you can do voice memos, even kind of just talking to yourself. There's nothing wrong with that because ultimately you have to now move forward and do what is best for you and do what is best for your baby. So I believe in you. I know that we haven't even met yet, but I am praying for you. I am so excited for you. And just know that there is a community of so many others that have been in the exact same spot as you. And we all come out on the other end. And God's grace is going to just fill your heart and your mind and your soul with everything that you need to get through this next phase in your life. And so we just kind of have to just pivot. We just pivot a little bit, and you get back on track and on track in terms of what you want out of your life. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up. I love to keep these short and sweet. If you like what I've had to say, feel free to leave a comment, give a thumbs up. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead and message us at hello at Unplanned Mom School, and we'll be addressing questions just kind of as they come in and going from there. So it's a pleasure to have spent this time with you, and I am thinking of you and praying for you and just super excited for what the future holds, even though it feels really dark and gloomy and you're just really unsure. You are going to get through this. So it's a wild ride. There's no doubt about it. And it's not an easy ride. But, what is easy in life? I'm just going to close by saying, think back at something in your life that was really hard. Something that was really, really hard at times and you got through it. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is high school. I remember going through high school, going through the motions. I really wasn't a good, I didn't like school. I didn't like I didn't like all of that. So, at times I would think, oh, I just want this to be over. I just wanted to socialize with my friends and play on my sports, the teams, and just I love the social aspect of it. But as far as doing like the school work, especially algebra, I had to really think, what's the big picture goal? And that's kind of maybe a dumb analogy, but think about that end result. You're going to think about, what's it going to feel like when I graduate? So for you right now, think about where you're at. Think of that one big goal that you still have, and think about how good it's going to feel when you know that you've gotten through this. You know that this too shall pass. If you haven't heard that quote yet, or that little slogan, just tell yourself that this too shall pass, because it will. And I've had to go through times in my life where I literally would take it minute by minute, and that's okay. It got me through those really dark times when I would be depressed, when I'd be anxious, when I'd be having legal problems with my spouse or going through the divorce, whatever the case may be. I would literally just have to take it minute by minute, and then some days it would be hour by hour. It just, you will get through this. If anything, I just want you to know that you've got this. You are so strong. You have just a beautiful opportunity lying ahead of you. And I just can't wait to see where this door opens up for you. So, all right, leave a comment down below if you like this. Again, shoot us a question, hello at unplannedmomschool.com, and let us know. I'll put the email address down in the show notes as well. So take care. We're rooting for you.